Okay, I'm back. So in the last video I was having memory errors. I'm using this cheap, well cheap as in free video capture program, and it's kind of screwing with my computer honestly, and screwing with it in other words is that it's actually screwing up my virtual control board, so I had to plug in the real one, but I'm leaving the virtual one up, so that way you can kind of see, or so that way you can see, um, kind of is a good word, because that way you can see what I'm pushing as far as buttons, even though you won't actually see the buttons move, but you'll get the idea. So now that we got our fixtures patch and the hog now knows what's what, um, basically what we're gonna do. Let me show you some real quick features before we really get jump into programming. If you're ever on a show and you need to explore what's there, there's a really cool button called a highlight button. And as you see, it lights up in blue when you have things highlighted. What this does is that it takes a fixture, puts it at full, or opens the shutter at full, and takes away, if it's a moving fixture with all features, it's going to open everything up and turn it to just no color or white, depending on the fixture. So that way it's going to stand out compared to the other fixtures. And I'll see if I can show you an example here. Like I hit, good, it works. I've been having problems with this. If I hit 1, as you see here, it's typing in there, hit 1, enter. Now all these options show up for the fixture. And if you look on here, since I hit the highlight button, as you still see it's in blue, as I hit that, it just turns it on. And what's really kind of neat is though, if you go next and back, you can go, on the Hog 3 there's only a next button, but on the Hog 4 you'll have a back button and an all button, which is really kind of cool. It shows useful at times. But if you hit next, you can go through all the fixtures and step through them, and you can get an idea of what's where and how, what fixtures what as you roll through it. And if you pay attention, and I'll show you where you can kind of follow along and the hog and see what fixtures what as we go on through these courses. But yeah, there's next, and as it goes through all of them, all 39, it starts all over. It goes through all your. Let me say that again. If you When you go through all the fixtures that's available, it starts over to fixture 1 again. And on the Hog 4, unlike the Hog 3, you have the all button, so you can highlight all of them. But keep in mind, highlight is not exactly the same thing as say, hey, go to full, which you'll see in a minute. Now, when you've typed a bunch of things in the programmer, clear button is going to be your friend. Um, Basically, that's going to clear out everything that's you've been playing with. So I'm going to hit the clear button there. Now let's get down to programming. If you look up here to the top of your hog, this is true in the Hog 3 as well, you'll see the programmer options. You'll see all this other things. Don't worry about it right now. We just want to focus on the programmer button. So hit that. You'll notice that the programmer is empty. Now what the programmer is for is that as you make changes on the stage, they're going to live here inside the programmer until you save it somewhere. Kind of hope that makes sense. So my highlight button is still on, so I'm going to turn it off because you do not. I've made the mistake of leaving the highlight button on and utilizing it all the time, and then when I make all my changes, I have no intensity values. So, and then I'm saving them, and basically they're all pointing in the right direction, giving the right colors and looks and all that. It just wasn't saying on full or half fifth. I wasn't. It wasn't on or off. Basically, it was just there. So. Um, let's just start really simple with dimmers here. Let's say I want to add some front light. I think that was fixtures 24. And let's say if I want to check that, yeah, it's 24. So I hit the highlight button. Now unhighlight it and it goes back. Now it looks like, well, what about all the front lights? So I want to explore that a little bit. I turn on the highlight button, I hit next, and I go, okay, I keep in my mind 24, 25, 26 as I go up these. And I go, oh, okay, that's too far. I only want 24, 25, and 26. So I'm going to hit clear, just so that way I can get rid of that information I just typed in. So what I do is I type in down here in this, as I type in 24 through 26, and then I say at full. And what that's going to do is going to turn them on to 100%. And I'll hit enter, so that way I've finished up that command line. And then as you notice over here in the programmer, it says desk channels 24 through 26 is at 100%. Now, there's other ones here. Let's go through fixtures 27 through 39, since that was the rest of ours, and hit enter. Oh, wait a minute, so I highlighted them. Now, as you see, as I highlighted them, they're on, but if you go over to the programmer, they're just there. They're selected, but they have no values or anything. So I will hit the unhighlight, and as you notice, as I'm hitting highlight, it doesn't do anything, to the programmer at least. But as I'm over here, you'll notice that it highlights them, of course. So, but I want them to have a value. So what I'm going to do is go back to my keyboard down here. Let's see, and I'm going to hit at full, and I'm going to type it in, and you'll see what happens as I hit that in the programmer. At full, enter to finalize it. And yeah, that's pretty much it as far as demmers. If I hit the clear button that I've been telling you about, there's the clear button. I also have to undo the highlight button since that was on. But if I hit the clear button, all it does is it just cleared out the programmer. But I can always add it back by typing in 24 through 39 at full. And bam, there we are. If you look on the stage, it's all on. So let's say, okay, I want this, and actually, let's say I want just the front light to be on. So as we remember, 24 through 26 at full. Bam. Look up at the stage to verify. Yes, they're on. So now how do I save them? The question of the day. Now what you have to understand first off is that we'll save this information within a master. Right here, these are called cue masters. This fader plus these play buttons plus that button and this bump button, all that we'll talk about later, is considered a master. This is a master, 2, 3, all the way down to 10. So there's all 10 masters, master controllers. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put information inside these masters. So what I want to do is select a master, and you can do it by double clicking to, hey, it's working. Double clicking 2 or double clicking 3, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Just select one, and you notice that of course they're blank down here. That's kind of, let's say if I want to start a new queue list and inside of a new master, a blank master, then select a blank one. Obviously you can select the Grand Master. What that does is that it says that everything is on or off or at full. As you notice that I haven't saved anything at all in anything, but I can move the Grand Master up and down, as you see right there, and it basically says, I don't care what the intensity value is, get rid of it. You know, or I want all the intensity values to go down to 50%. You've probably seen that on some smaller boards. It's just a quick way to control things. I personally don't use it that much, but what's really kind of cool is the Hog has the ability that you can write over this Grandmaster and use it as a queue list. Then you can kind of go, but then you go, wait a minute, what if I want the Grandmaster to come back? Well, all you have to do, if you notice on the control board, there's a button called GM for Grandmaster. When I push that button, it turns that first master right here, it turns it into the Grandmaster. It overrides whatever queue list is in there. As you see, the button lit up because I'm holding it right now. Anyway, so, but let's choose Master 2. Now you can actually just simply double click on it, and as you even notice, as I click on it, you can see which master is open. As you see, as the blue, these are all moving around because on my real controller, I'm actually simply just selecting them. Double tap them to open them up though. If I simply select them, let me close that out. If I simply select them, it just selects it. But if you double tap it, it opens it up. Okay, anyway, enough of that. So hopefully you get the idea. Alright, so all you have to do at this point is, like I said in the programmer, there's our values that we want. And then you hit record, and then you hit queue because we were recording a queue, and then there we go, we hit enter, bam, and it's still inside the programmer, which you can program some more, record another queue, program some more, record another queue. By the way, it's down here. But let's say I'm done with that. You can go down here, hit the clear button, and as you notice, the stage clears out, which is good. The programmer's clear. We can hit the close button, the programmer's closed out. But what we have open is our queue list. If it's not open, if you've been following along, if it's not open, just double tap the queue master you saved it in, which mine was queue master 2. You notice it gave it a name of QList1 automatically. That's because it's the first QList you made. It doesn't matter what master you put it in. I could have put in 10, or if I had 20 of these, I could put in 20, but it's still the first QList I made in the show. And I will show you a little later on how to name these, which could be helpful on naming them, because you can remove these from the QList master, or you can remove it from the master and add it back and move it around. And when you're looking at a bunch of QList, if you see them all as numbers, you can get confusing. It's easier to name them. I'll show you how to do that later. Hopefully I didn't lose you any of this. You can also name the queue just straight up. You can name it front light. Just type it on your keyboard. You can double click it or hit insert or set. Any of those buttons will work. But it's still known as QList1. Let's say if I want to change this, well, it's actually pretty simple. In fact, actually, let's back up first. Here, if I hit the play button for it, that's play, pause, and reverse. Just hit the play button. It should start playing. Oh, duh. Another thing to realize, you have to turn up. You have to turn it up on the master. If you don't, it's not going to show. So that's a very important thing. You have to make sure the cue is played, that you have played it. I'll hit the button over here so that way you can see what's going on. That's as I'm hitting the play button, you see it saying play. I can actually hit release by hitting the release button right here, and it removed the cue. But if I want it, I can just hit play again, and as you see, it's playing it, and my value's over here at full. Go to your hog, play with this a little bit, so you can understand what's going on. Comments are just that forward if you want to make a comment or a note mark. We'll talk about these later. Fader is the time that it takes for the cue to fade in. Delay, how long am I going to wait before the cue is going to run itself? I can hit the play button, it's going to delay, let's say, a second. Let's see, I can hit the play button, it's going to delay a second, and then it's actually going to run for 2 seconds. Path, I've never really, oops, it looks like I crashed it, but I've never really, I'll open it back up. Yeah, but path I've never really played with, and then to the right of that was macros. This video is getting long anyway, I need to stop it. But yeah, but other than that, there's macros, comments. We will talk about that later. They will be crucial to doing shows on the fly, and we're going to have a lot of fun with those. Anyway, so let me stop this video, and we'll start with the next one with programming.